Okay, so imagine this. You're standing on land that's literally still being created. Fire bursting from the earth, ancient ice shaping mountains. It's like something from another world.
That's Iceland, all right. Famous for that raw beauty, those extremes.
Exactly. But what's it really like to travel there? You hear it's beautiful, you hear it's expensive.
Is it secretly affordable or just as pricey as everyone says?
Yeah, and how do you even begin to plan? Navigate those huge distances, maybe catch the northern lights, soak in a hot spring, without just getting totally lost in the options.
Those are definitely the big questions. And luckily, we've got some great source material from a listener, really focused on decoding that actual on-the-ground experience in the land of fire and ice.
All right, perfect. Let's dive into these sources then, our mission. Pull out the critical stuff you need for, well, an amazing, efficient trip. We're talking the allure, the costs, the logistics, those insider tips.
So first off, what makes Iceland so unique? The sources all point to one thing. It's a geological marvel. It sits smack bang on the mid-Atlantic ridge.
Meaning it's constantly being shaped by volcanoes, right?
Mm.
Geothermal areas, lava fields.
Yep, active volcanoes too. It's alive, geologically speaking.
But that's just one side of the coin.
Yeah.
Because you've also got these enormous glaciers just grinding away.
Exactly, carving the land, feeding thousands, literally thousands of waterfalls, making these incredible owl formations. It's this constant, push and pull, fire and ice. That's the essence of it.
And the landscapes that creates must be stunning.
Oh, totally. The sources describe it as constantly changing, always breathtaking. You've got black sand beaches, then these super vibrant geothermal spots like Glacier or the Hakadalur Valley.
Ice caves, basalt columns, I've seen pictures.
Right. One source just calls it a photographer's dream. Hard to argue with that.
And being so far north, that means crazy sky stuff, right? Northern lights.
Absolutely. In winter, you get the aurora borealis. Just magical. The sources stress getting away from city lights is key, though. Best seen roughly mid-September to mid-April.
And then summer's the total opposite.
Pretty much. The midnight sun, daylight almost 24/7. It's wild. So you get these two completely different but equally incredible experiences depending on when you go.
And all that geothermal heat isn't just for show.
No way. It's practical. Steam rising everywhere. It powers heating, electricity.
And of course, the hot springs. The Blue Lagoon everyone talks about.
Exactly. It's all connected. And we shouldn't forget the people either. The sources mention the Icelandic culture, that resilience shaped by living in such a, challenging place.
Okay, so you get there. What are the absolute must-dos according to these sources? The Golden Circle seems to pop up constantly.
Yeah, it's like Iceland 101, starting from Reykjavik. Super popular, easy day trip.
Popular for a reason, I assume?
Definitely. It packs in 3 really iconic but different things. First is Sigmundalur National Park, UNESCO site. Huge historical significance. First parliament met there way back in the 10th century.
Wow.
But it's also where the tectonic plates meet. The North American and Eurasian plates are literally pulling apart there. And get this, when source mentions you can actually scuba dive or snorkel between the continents there. The water's supposed to be insanely clear.
You can dive between continents.
Yeah.
Okay, that is wild. What's next on this Golden Circle?
So you go from history and geology to explosive power, the geyser geothermal area.
The famous geyser.
Well, the original geyser doesn't erupt much now, but its neighbor, Stroker, puts on a show like clockwork. Every few minutes, whoosh, water shoots way up. Reliable drama.
Okay, cool. And the third stop?
Gullfoss Waterfall means golden waterfall. And it is just magnificent, huge, powerful, plunging into this deep canyon. It's immense.
It's like a packed day. Any tips for doing it?
Yeah, the sources suggest either going really early to beat the tour buses, or if you don't fancy driving yourself, just booking a guided tour. Lots of options for that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Beyond the Golden Circle, though, it sounds like the whole country is just overflowing with natural wonders,
Oh, yeah.
waterfalls everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Over 10,000, apparently. Seljalandsfoss is a big one. You can actually walk behind the water.
No.
Yeah. And Skogafoss is another classic beauty. And then there's Dettifoss up north, Europe's most powerful waterfall by volume. Just raw power.
And those black sand beaches.
Yeah.
Reynisfjara.
Instantly recognizable. Those dramatic basalt columns coming out of the sand.
Yeah.
Incredible. But, and this is really important, the sources give a massive warning here.
Okay.
The waves. They are seriously powerful and unpredictable. Sneaker waves. You absolutely cannot turn your back on the ocean there. People have been swept away. It's deadly serious.
Wow, okay. That's a crucial piece of safety info. Good reminder of the power you're dealing with.
Definitely. So shifting gears a bit, Maybe something more relaxing, those geothermal pools.
Yes. Let's talk soaking. The Blue Lagoon is obviously the icon.
It is, and it's beautiful, that milky blue water, rich in minerals, but the sources confirm it's very popular and
Yeah.
pricey.
When you need to book ahead.
Absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
well in advance. It gets really crowded.
So what if you want something maybe quieter or cheaper?
Mhm.
Are there alternatives?
Loads. The sources mention the Mývatn nature baths up north. Sounds lovely quieter, less expensive, similar milky blue water from silica.
Mývatn. Okay.
They even have this cool steam bath over a natural vent, and you can try geyser-baked bread nearby. Sounds very Icelandic.
That does sound unique. Any others?
Yeah, the secret lagoon gets mentioned, Sky Lagoon too, or honestly, just hitting up one of the local swimming pools. They're all geothermally heated, much cheaper, and it's where the locals go. More authentic, maybe. Mývatn definitely seems like a top alternative to the Blue Lagoon, though.
Good to know there are options. Now, for the really adventurous, can you actually get on the glaciers?
You can. Guided glacier hiking is a thing. Walking on ancient ice. Pretty cool.
And ice caves? I've seen photos of those incredible blue caves.
Yeah, those are mainly a winter thing. Only accessible when it's cold enough. Tours run, often from Staftafell, for example, exploring that blue, otherworldly landscape. Amazing.
And you can't talk South Coast without mentioning Jökulsárlón. All right, the Glacier Lagoon.
Oh, definitely not. It's stunning. Huge icebergs floating in this deep blue lake. Sometimes seals pop up.
Sounds incredible.
And right nearby is Diamond Beach. Chunks of ice wash up on the black sand, sparkling, hence the name. You can do boat tours on the lagoon, too, get up close to the icebergs.
Man, the list just keeps going. What other unique stuff?
Well, we touched on snorkeling or diving Silfra, that fissure between the tectonic plates, insanely clear water.
Right, the Between Continents dive.
Yeah. And obviously, Northern Lights tours in winter are huge. Guides take you out away from the city lights to hunt for the aurora.
And summer has its own special activities.
For sure. Puffin watching, you see them on coastal cliffs, mostly mid-April to mid-August. Westman Islands, West Fjords, East Fords are key spots. Tours are available.
Oh, puffins. Cute.
And you can ride the Icelandic horses. They have that unique gait, the tolt. Tours run in places like Landmannalaugar. Plus, whale watching April to September is prime time. About 20 species hang out around Iceland. Tours leave from Reykjavik and Akureyri.
Okay, what if you really want to get away from the main tourist spots? Get off the beaten path.
The sources mention some serious hiking. The Logavegur Trail is the famous one. It's 55 kilometers, usually takes 3 to 5 days, passes through unbelievable landscapes. There are mountain huts or you can camp.
55K. That's a proper trek. Anything shorter but still epic.
Yep. The Fimbulveri Wood Trail. It's maybe a day or a 2-day hike between Sorsmerk and Skogr. Described as moderately challenging, but the views are supposed to be incredible.
And the Highlands. Landmannalaugar.
Ah, Landmannalaugar. Yeah, that's deep in the interior. Known for those crazy colored rhyolite mountains, lava fields, volcanoes. It looks surreal.
But tricky to get to.
That's the catch. You need a 4x4. It involves driving on F-roads, these rough highland tracks, and they're only open in summer, so requires planning.
Gotcha. 4x4 essential for the Highlands. What about that really famous mountain, the pointy one?
Kirkjufell. Yes, instantly recognizable shape, often photographed with waterfalls nearby. You can hike around it in summer if the weather's good. Great photo spot, day or night, another prime Northern Lights location in winter.
And the Snæfellsnes Peninsula.
Sort of like Iceland in miniature, according to one source. It's got a national park, hiking, the Snæfellsjökull Glacier, where you can do glacier walks, dramatic cliffs like Landrangar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could easily spend a few days just exploring that area.
Feels like you could spend months exploring. Let's swing back to the city. Reykjavik, it's the capital, right? Where most people live.
Yeah, northernmost capital in the world. About 60% of the population lives there. It's the hub. Sources describe it as having cozy cafes, a really lively club and pub scene, those colorful houses everywhere, lots of art, music. The nightlife kicks off pretty late, apparently.
Sounds vibrant. Good food scene, too.
Definitely expanding, everything from fancy dining to great street food. And the sources highlight a few unique spots to check out in Reykjavik besides the bars and restaurants.
Like museums.
Yeah, the National Museum of Iceland gives you the whole history and culture overview. Standard museum stuff, but good.
Okay. And the less standard stuff.
Right. Well, there's the Icelandic Elf School.
Wait, seriously? An elf school?
Apparently. It delves into all the folklore about hidden people, the holy folk, the 13 types of elves. It sounds like you get a lecture, maybe some snacks. It's definitely unique.
That is wonderfully quirky. I love it. What else? You mentioned another one.
Yes. The Phallological Museum.
Sorry, the what now?
The Penis Museum, that's what most people call it. It's got the world's largest collection, apparently around 300 specimens from various mammals. The sources say it's small, but actually quite informative.
Okay, an elf school and a penis museum. Iceland keeps surprising. That's certainly a conversation starter.
You could say that.
Right, moving swiftly on, fueling up Icelandic food. The sources say it's all about fresh local stuff. Lamb, fish, dairy.
That's the core of it, yeah. High-quality ingredients shaped by the environment.
And the number one must-try seems to be a hot dog.
Believe it or not, yeah. Pilser, the Icelandic hot dog, it's apparently legendary. Especially the works, crispy onions, raw onions, ketchup, that special Icelandic mustard, and remoulade.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where do you get this legendary hot dog?
There's a famous stand in Reykjavik called Bajorins Bestu Pilser. Gets a specific shout-out.
Noted. What else? Lamb is big there, right?
Huge, and meant to be incredibly tender and flavorful because the sheep just roam free. Kjøtsupa, a hearty lamb soup, is a classic dish to try.
And seafood, obviously, being an island.
For sure. Arctic char, cod, haddock, amazing fresh fish, fish stews, great fish and chips. You really can't go wrong with seafood.
And skyr. I keep hearing about skyr.
Yeah, the traditional dairy product. It's like a thick, creamy yogurt, but technically a cheese, I think. High protein, great with berries, honey. It's everywhere.
Okay, now, what about the really weird stuff? The sources mention some adventurous options.
Right, for the brave. There's rugbrau, this dense, dark, slightly sweet rye bread. Sometimes they even make ice cream out of it.
Rye bread ice cream. Okay.
Then there's hardfisker, which is dried fish, kind of like jerky, usually eaten with butter. And the most infamous one, hakarl, fermented shark.
Oh, boy. I've heard tales. Pungent.
Extremely. Very strong ammonia smell and taste, apparently. Definitely an acquired taste. Or maybe just a dare for tourists.
Yeah, maybe want to try just to say you did. So eating out sounds like it ranges from casual to fancy, but expensive.
That's the constant refrain in the sources. Eating out is pricey. Doing a culinary tour in Reykjavik is suggested as maybe a good way to sample lots of things without breaking the bank on full meals every time.
Which leads us nicely into the practical side, and yeah, the big one, money.
The sources don't sugarcoat it. Iceland is expensive, one of the craziest countries out there. High taxes, lots of imported goods. You really need to budget carefully.
Okay, let's break down getting around and staying somewhere, keeping that cost factor front and center. Renting a car seems key.
Yeah, for flexibility, it's pretty crucial, especially if you want to do the ring road, that's Route 1, circling the island. It takes about 7 to 14 days, the sources suggest, to do it properly.
And the car type matters. You mentioned 4x4s are
absolutely critical. If you're planning any travel on F-roads, those highland tracks, you must have a 4x4. And honestly, it's highly recommended for winter travel, too, because of snow and ice.
And driving itself.
Yeah.
Any specific warnings besides sheep?
Oh, yeah. Big ones. The weather changes fast, like really fast. And the wind? The sources mention winds strong enough to rip car doors off. Apparently, it happens more than you'd think.
Seriously, rip the doors off.
Yep. So hold on to your door when you open it. Also, gravel roads are common off the main paved ring road. And yeah, sheep on the road. So constant vigilance, checking weather forecasts, checking road conditions online. It's not just recommended, it's essential.
Wow, okay. That driving warning about the doors is intense. So if driving sounds like maybe too much hassle or stress...
Guided tours are a great alternative. Day trips for the Golden Circle, South Coast, whatever. Or multi-day tours that cover the whole ring road. Plus specialized tours for glaciers, ice caves, northern lights. They handle all the transport and logistics.
Any other ways to get around?
You can take domestic flights good for covering long distances quickly, like Reykjavik to Akureyri up north. There's a public bus network, Strætó, connecting towns, but it's not great for hitting all the scenic spots tourists want to see.
Right, not much flexibility.
Exactly. Reykjavik itself is very walkable, and you'll be doing lots of walking at the natural sites. Good waterproof hiking boots are a must. Oh, and surprisingly, hitchhiking gets mentioned as being pretty common and safe, especially in the south. There are even websites like Samferda to help coordinate ride-sharing.
Interesting. Okay, accommodation. Where do you sleep? Big range of prices here, right?
Huge range. Budget end, you've got hostels. Dorm beds run roughly 40 to 90 US a night, which is like 6,000 to 10,500 Icelandic krona. Camping is the absolute cheapest, maybe 1,530 a night or 4,000, 6,200 krona. There's a camping card you can buy that saves money if you camp a lot. But note, Wild camping isn't really allowed in most places.
Okay, so stick to campsites. What about mid-range?
Guest houses, smaller hotels, farm stays, those are typically 150 to 350 US a night or 15,000 to 35,000 krona. Often outside Reykjavik can be a more authentic feel.
And if you want to splurge, luxury option.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Boutique hotels, remote cabins, unique places like the Hotel at the Blue Lagoon or Hotel Ranga, which is known for northern lights viewing. These start easily over 350 US, going way up, maybe $800 plus. That's over 36,000 krona a night, especially in peak season or prime spots.
So location and season make a huge difference.
Massive difference. Reykjavik costs more, summer costs more, peak northern light season costs more. And the absolute key takeaway from all sources on accommodation: book in advance. Seriously, especially for popular places or during busy times, you need to book way ahead.
Right, booking ahead is critical. Now let's really scare that cost issue in the face. Daily budget estimates, excluding the flights to get there.
Okay, so the sources break it down. Budget traveler, camping or hostels, cooking most foods, sticking to free sites, maybe hitchhiking. You're looking at maybe $80 to $150 US per day. One source even suggests you could potentially squeeze it down towards 10,000 krona, which is around $70 US, but that's like super strict. Camping only, cooking everything, hitchhiking, no booze, only free activities.
Okay, that's tight. Mid-range.
More like 250 to 500 US a day. That's guest houses or mid-level hotels, a mix of cooking and eating out casually, renting a car, doing some paid tours.
In luxury.
Starts around 600 US and goes up, easily $1,200 plus per day. High-end hotels, fine dining, private tours. That's the 36,000 plus krona range.
So where's the money going primarily?
Accommodation is usually the biggest chunk.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rental car and fuel gas is expensive there too. Then food and especially alcohol. And finally, those paid activities and tours, Blue Lagoon entry, glacier hikes, boat tours, they all add up.
But there are ways to save money. The sources had tips.
Definitely. Number one tip, cook your own meals. Shop at the cheaper supermarkets like Bonus or Kronen. Groceries for a week might cost around 7,100 US or 9,500 krona. Big savings compared to restaurants.
That makes sense. What else?
Bring a reusable water bottle. The tap water is amazing, super pure and safe everywhere. No need to ever buy bottled water.
Good one. Simple but effective.
Limit alcohol. Taxes make it incredibly expensive. If you want some, buy it at the state-run liquor stores, Vinbuin. But yeah, brace yourself for the price.
Okay, noted. Less booze, more savings.
Camping obviously is the cheapest way to sleep. Use that camping card. Focus on the free natural wonders. Most waterfalls, beaches, geothermal sites don't charge admission.
Traveling in the shoulder seasons, maybe
Yeah.
April, May, or September, October.
Yeah, that can help. Might find slightly lower prices for flights and places to stay. Also, consider a camper van combines transport and accommodation costs. Bring your own gear if you have it, like good hiking boots, waterproofs, thermals, saves on rental costs.
Any other slightly more unusual tips?
Couchsurfing is apparently quite active in Reykjavik and Akureyri, so there's free accommodation plus local insights. Using ride-sharing platforms like Samferda, if you do rent a car, helps split fuel costs. And apparently some hostels charge extra for sheets, maybe 1350 krona, so bringing your own sleeping bag liner or sheets could save a tiny bit here and there.
Every little bit helps when it's that expensive.
Hmm.
Okay, so you figured out the budget. When should you actually go? Sounds like it really depends on what you want.
Totally. The sources make it crystal clear. The seasons are drastically different, so the best time is all about your priorities.
Summer, June to August seems like the obvious choice for many.
It's the most popular, yeah. Weather is mildest, maybe 10, 18 Celsius. You get the midnight sun, endless daylight practically. Best for hiking, driving the full ring road, seeing puffins. All roads are usually open.
The downsides.
Peak season means bigger crowds, higher prices for everything. And don't expect perfect sunshine. It still rains quite a bit, maybe 9, 12 days a month on average.
Okay, what about winter? November to March.
That's your prime time for northern lights and those ice caves, which you can only do in winter. It's cold, obviously, like 0 down to -10 Celsius, maybe colder. Very short daylight hours, under 4 hours in deep winter.
Sounds challenging.
It requires more planning, definitely. Driving can be hazardous, roads close. But you get unique activities like snowmobiling, glacier hiking in a different environment, and generally fewer tourists than summer, except maybe around Christmas, New Year.
So summer for lights, winter for lights. What about in between? the shoulder seasons.
April, May, and September, October. The sources position these as a really good balance. Days are getting longer in spring, still decent light in autumn, like 10, 14 hours. Crowds thin out, prices might be a bit lower.
Still chance for northern lights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially early spring and autumn. Spring has the bonus of snowmelt, so waterfalls are super powerful. Autumn has lovely colors. Downside is they can be wetter than summer, maybe 10, 15 rainy days a month, and cooler, like 4, 7 Celsius.
So it really comes down to what's your main goal? Lights and ice mean winter, midnight sun and maximum access mean summer, a bit of everything with fewer crowds, shoulder season.
Exactly. You need to pick your priority.
Okay, last big area,
Yeah.
culture and safety. What's the vibe?
The sources talk about Icelandic resilience, shaped by that tough environment. There's this phrase, "Seda redast."
Theta redast. What's that mean?
Roughly, it will all work out in the end. Sort of an optimistic, pragmatic approach to life's challenges.
I like that. And they're close to nature.
Deeply. Very protective of the environment. Outdoors is a huge part of the lifestyle. And for visitors, English proficiency is incredibly high, so communication is super easy.
Any other cultural notes?
Yeah, strong roots in the old Viking sagas and folklore. That belief in hidden folk elves, trolls, it's still a charming part of the culture. It's also noted as a very progressive place. Gender equality, LGBTQ plus rights, environmentalism are all big deals. Very inclusive. And Reykjavik has this vibrant arts and music scene despite the small population.
Sounds like a fascinating culture. Now, safety. Big question for travelers.
Okay, first off, human crime. Extremely low. Iceland is consistently ranked one of the safest countries on Earth. Violent crime is rare. You feel safe walking around. If anything happens, it's more likely petty theft between travelers, not locals targeting you.
That's really reassuring.
They
But nature.
That's where the real danger lies. And the sources hammer this home. The weather, it changes insanely fast. You have to check forecasts constantly, dress in layers. Good waterproofs and windproofs are non-negotiable. Roads close quickly.
And driving safety again.
Yep. Gravel roads, those crazy winds tearing at car doors, ice in winter. Drive carefully, respect limits, and absolutely no F-roads unless you have a proper 4x4.
And safety at the sites themselves.
Stay on marked paths, waterfalls, cliff edges. Don't take risks for a photo. And we have to say again, black sand beaches like Reynisfjara do not turn your back on the waves. Ever. Sneaker waves are deadly serious. Also, stay away from glacier edges. Don't wander onto unstable ground near geothermal vents.
Basic hiking safety too, I assume.
Tell someone your route. Stick to trails. Be prepared. The emergency number is 112 for everything. Police, ambulance, fire.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Any other small safety points?
Just that the tap water is perfectly safe and delicious everywhere, and scams are rare. Just use common sense, book tours with reputable companies.
Okay, so it sounds like if you respect nature's power and plan properly, it's incredibly safe from a crime perspective.
Exactly. The main risks are environmental, not human.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the sources on Iceland. It really paints a picture of a place with just raw, stunning power and beauty. An unforgettable experience for sure.
Absolutely. It demands planning. It demands a budget, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But the payoff seems immense. That landscape, it's just on another level. Land of Fire and Ice really sums it up.
It really does. You know, thinking about that Icelandic resilience, that set the red-ass mindset, it'll all work out. And then contrasting it with the very real, very unpredictable dangers, the weather, those waves, the wind. How do you think that constant tension shapes how Icelanders live? And how does it dictate how you as a traveler have to approach it? How do you balance being adaptable, having that it'll work out spirit, with the absolute need for serious caution and planning when nature there is just so powerful?